So hello friends, another video in the video lecture series. Our topic for today is blood groups and RH factor. Okay, so it's a fairly easy topic. I would like you people to answer one question: what are the different blood groups that you know of? So there are four blood groups. First is the blood group A. Second is the blood group B. The third is the blood group O, and the fourth is the blood group AB. Alright, so these are the four blood groups present in humans. Now, out of these four, the first three were discovered by a scientist called as Carl Landsteiner. Alright, he discovered these three blood groups in the year 1900, and this blood group AB was discovered by his students in the year 1902. Okay, so that is about the discovery of blood groups. Finally, Landsteiner did get the Nobel Prize in 1930 for his work. So that is something regarding the history of the blood groups. Now let us see how each blood group is classified. So let us start with blood group A. Okay, now first of all, we have to write down the genotype of each blood group. So while writing the genotype, we are going to use the different forms of the gene, which is I. So this gene I is used to denote blood groups, and there are three different types of this gene. One is the IA, second is the IB, and third is the IO or plain I. So these three variations of the gene I are called as alleles. So I hope everyone knows the definition of alleles. So two or more variations or forms of a single gene are called as allele. So these are the three alleles, okay, that we are going to use while studying the blood groups. Okay, so when we are writing down the genotype of blood group A, uh, the only one type of allele that we are going to use is the IA. So the genotype is IAIA, or the genotype of blood group A is also IAI or IAIO. So one thing that you have to remember is IA allele and IB allele are both equally powerful, but both of these are much more dominant to the allele IO. So if IO and IA come together, IA will be dominant to IO and IA will exert its effect. Similarly, if IB and IO come together, IB will be dominant and it will exert its effect. But if IA and IB come together, both are co-dominant and both will exert their effect. Are you getting me? Okay, so the genotype for blood group A is either IAIA or IAI, right? Now each blood group has a particular antigen. Okay, so now the antigen in blood group A is the A antigen. So this letter that you see on top is the antigen, right? This is the antigen. So blood group A has A antigen. Okay, so the antigen present is A. Each blood group may or may not produce antibodies. So antibodies are the defense materials or defense molecules produced by a particular blood group to attack a foreign blood group. So people having blood group A will have antibody B. So this antibody is produced to fight against antigen B of blood group B. Do you get me? I hope I am clear. So the genotype is IAIA or IAI. The antigen is the letter present, that is antigen A, and antibody produced by blood group A is anti B to fight. I'll write down against blood group B. Do you get me? Okay, now let us go to the next blood group, that is the blood group B. So now can you tell me the genotype for blood group B? Yes, it will be IB, IB, or it will be IBI. What will be the antigen present? Again you are correct, the antigen will be antigen B and the antibody will be anti A. So this is produced to fight against antigen A of blood group A. Are you getting me? Or it will be also used to fight against blood group AB, which is having the antigen A. So any blood group that is having antigen A will be fought with the help of antibody A. So that is called as anti-A. Are you understanding? Okay, so that is about the blood group B. The third type of blood group that we are going to study is called as the blood group O. Now the genotype for blood group O is IOIO, or it is written as II. So what are the antigens present? Now this blood group doesn't have any antigens, so they are absent. Alright, and because this blood group doesn't have any antigens, it is also called as a universal donor, because this blood group won't get attacked when it mixes with any other blood. Do you understand? Because since this blood group doesn't have any antigens, the foreign blood group will not produce any antibodies against it. Now if we want to write about the antibodies, this blood group produces two types of antibodies. One is anti-A and the other is anti-B. Alright, so that is why if a person having blood group O is given any other blood group, then since it is having both these antibodies, that blood will react and the person will have complications. So that is why, though it is a universal donor, the blood group O cannot accept blood from any other blood group. Okay, so these are the antibodies. And finally the last blood group is called as blood group AB. So again the genotype for AB is IAIB. So this is having both the antigens. So here we'll write down A and B. And now come on, let us see how much you have understood. What will be the antibodies? There will be no antibodies, because either of the antibodies, if present, they will attack the own blood group, and that is why no antibodies are present. And because of that, this blood group is a universal acceptor. So you can give a person having blood group AB blood from A, blood from B, or blood from O, because this blood group is not going to produce any antibodies. So there is going to be no problem, there is going to be no disorder. Okay, so this is why this blood group is a universal acceptor. Okay, so now if you have understood everything, let us just make a simple chart summarizing whatever we have learned. So here I am going to write down about the blood group, then I am going to write down the genotype, then I am going to write down the antigen. So I forgot to tell you, these antigens A and B are basically present on the surface of the red blood cell. Okay, so person having blood group A will have antigen A on its RBC surface, person having blood group B will have B antigen on its RBC surface. After that, antibody present in the people having those blood groups, then that people with that blood can donate blood to and receive or accept blood from. So let us start with the first blood group, and that is blood group A. So the genotype, you know, it is IAIA, or it is also IAI. Antigen present is A, antibody is anti-B. It can donate blood to obviously people with A and AB, since AB is a universal acceptor. It can receive from A and O because O is a universal donor, right? So the next blood group that we are going to talk about is the B blood group. So once again, I'll write down IB over here. I hope you people are following. The antigen will be B, antibody will be anti A. It can donate blood to again B and AB. It can receive blood from B and O. Okay. Now the third blood group that we are going to write is the O blood group. Only one genotype, II or IO. Antigen present is none. There is no antigen present over here. Antibodies, both the antibodies are present, so antibodies against A and antibodies against B. It can donate blood to all the blood groups, whereas it can receive only from blood group O. Okay, and the last blood group that we are going to write about is the universal acceptor, that is AB. It is IA, IB. Antigen present, both the antigens are present, so A as well as B. None of the antibodies are present because otherwise it will harm the self blood group, and it can donate blood to only AB, and it can receive blood group from all blood groups. So do you get me? Universal donor, universal acceptor. Okay friends, so the part on blood groups I guess is quite simple, and I think everything regarding this will be clear. We'll move on to the next topic or the next part of this video lecture, and that is on rhesus factor. So now Rh factor is basically an antigen which is called as antigen D, and this is again present on certain red blood cells. Okay, so people having this antigen on their RBCs are called as Rh positive, and people having or not having this antigen D are called as Rh negative. Now where does this Rh come from? So Rh stands for rhesus, and this antigen was first discovered in the rhesus monkey. Okay, so it was discovered on the RBC or the red blood cell of the rhesus monkey, and again it was discovered by Carl Landsteiner, and along with him there was one more scientist called as Weiner. Okay, so I'll write down their names: Landsteiner and Weiner, and they discovered this phenomena in 1940. So this was after he got the Nobel Prize for his blood groups. Okay, now why is this Rh factor important? So based on the presence or absence of Rh factor, the four blood groups can either be A positive, A negative, B positive, B negative, O positive, O negative, and AB positive, AB negative. Alright, these blood groups have rhesus factor or antigen D present, these are absent. So why is it important? What happens if a person having blood group B positive gives blood to a person having B negative? So what will happen is, since this B positive has Rh antigens, when this blood is given to a person having B negative, this person doesn't have Rh antigen. So when this antigens enter the blood of this B negative person, this B negative will produce antibodies against that antigen, and because of that the blood will kind of coagulate, or it will kind of produce a reaction which will be dangerous for that person. So that is why it is very, very important to consider the blood groups before blood transfusion or blood donation. So that is why this rhesus factor plays a very important role. Similarly, if a person having AB negative blood is given blood from AB positive, the same thing will happen. The Rh antigen, when mixed with this blood will produce antibodies against the Rh antigen, and because of that a reaction which will occur, which will be again not healthy, or it will harm the person having this blood group. So that is why when donating blood, the Rh factor is always considered. Do you understand? Okay, so according to that basis, now can you tell me, out of these 8 blood groups, which one is the universal acceptor and universal donor? Just think and let me know. O negative is the universal donor, because any person given the O negative blood, since O negative doesn't have any antigen, so that is why it will not produce any antibodies against it in the blood group which is receiving this. So O negative is the universal donor, whereas the universal acceptor will be, yes, what do you think? What do you think? Obviously the universal acceptor will be AB positive, because if AB negative person is given a blood group of AB positive, then this AB negative will produce antibodies against that AB negative, whereas AB positive will not harm AB negative if it is given, because AB negative doesn't have any antigens. So universal acceptor is AB positive, donor is O negative. Okay, so thank you for listening patiently. I would just like to just explain one more small concept called as erythroblastosis fetalis. So this is when the fetus is Rh positive and when the mother is Rh negative. So what happens is, both these are connected by placenta, and this Rh negative blood of mother produces antibodies against the Rh positive fetus, and these antibodies pass through the placenta and attack the fetus, and they will destroy all the RPGs of the fetus, and that is called as erythroblastosis fetalis, which may cause the death of the child. Okay, so that is the last concept that I wanted to explain to you. Okay, so friends, here we come to the end of this lecture. I hope you have understood. Okay, thank you.